So what's up?
What's up?
How do you feel? Scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling?
Scale of 1 to 10 is 7.
Okay. Can you care to explain what a 7 feels like?
Oh, do you therapist Wuzi today? You got the
T-Woos, what they call me?
position. T-Woos. Okay. Okay, I'm going. Hold on. All right. Today, how am I feeling? 7. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I'm a little stressed out with, how much work I kind of am juggling right now. I'm really trying to master my craft and kind of being hard on myself as I think about it. But also, there's some very real challenges I have to work on, like email. I love writing emails, but I hate the amount of inboxes that I have for my job. And so I miss emails a lot.
Okay.
And I'm also, once I'm like burnt out or overwhelmed or something, I will avoid my inbox sometimes. Like for a couple days because I'm getting caught up on other things. And so it's like, if I read my email, I feel like I'm going to have more things to add to the to-do list that I'm already super behind on. But it's not a healthy habit. So I'm really working on undoing that this summer and like getting into a new practice of forwarding emails, keeping up with them. But it is a labor of love and patience.
You said forwarding emails like back to yourself?
Yeah, like kind of because I have so many inboxes, I like have to like forward them to one place. Otherwise, like I said, I'm gonna miss them. So like the most
manually?
I have like certain rules set up on my inbox on my Outlook inbox.
Yeah.
So that basically emails that come from particular people, or like Canvas is our learning platform, then that will get forwarded to like the email that I check regularly on my phone.
So what are some of the things you're going to try to do to get better at the admin work?
Well, part of it is like actually being disciplined. Having self-discipline is something that, and good time management. Like it's both of those things. And I feel like people are always talking about, or professionals, we are looking for people with good time management, but like it's a skill much more difficult to come across for me, particularly because I just have so many interests and passions and jobs, like it's kind of like, I don't know, difficult to be focused on just one thing. And then it makes you seem like you're not committed or you're flighty, and that's not it at all. It's just, I'm trying to engage all of what life has for me and all of what I have to give life. But it's time management for me. It's being self-disciplined and just getting into a routine that I'm very committed to. Because I've been committed to chaos, if you will,
So what's your relationship with like prioritization?
My mom asked me that the other day and I was like, I prioritize everything, Mom. But I feel like I'm good at prioritizing in the moment when I'm freaking out and like spiraling, having like a lot of anxiety. I'm decent about that once I get past the emotional overwhelm. But as it relates to like long-term planning, I probably could get better at it. Like I am recently in a place where it's like I'm making smarter decisions in the right now for a better future outcome. I am walking in that a lot more now, but it, like I said, it takes time. It's like not something that you see overnight change with.
Is there like a filter that you run through to prioritize things, like to help you understand what's a priority or not?
What needs to get done right now, what can be done later, and what's going to make me happy. Like, What can I do right now that's going to make me happy? It's like those 3 things.
If you had to put those in order, what are the order? What's the order?
Probably what needs to get done right now, what will make me happy or what will make me feel better, and then what can be done later.
Interesting.
The bottom 2 probably switch, but I definitely don't like prioritize what's going to make me feel better before what needs to get done. which is something I don't know. I feel like I kind of need to switch that up because how you show up for what needs to get done is also just as important. Just showing up to get it done is like, I don't know. It sets you up to be in positions that are like far less fulfilling and nourishing to you, you know?
Interesting.
What about you?
What do you mean?
How you doing on a scale of 1 to 10?
I have 2 scales. Life, about a 9 or 8. Life. Mentally, about a 3, maybe a 4. But yeah.
Why? What's the difference between the two?
What's the difference between the two?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm what you call a sociopath. I disassociate with myself.
Is it like a clinical diagnosis or a self-diagnosis?
Self-diagnosis.
Okay.
So I feel like personally, I can see like where my life is at. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a pretty good spot. You know, good things are happening. Good things have happened. So I understand objectively on a macro, life is good. But then, you know, there's the emotional and there's the mental. You know, that's where I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm one of those. It's one of those things where I think Adele said it on her album 30. I love being alone, but this is the first time I felt lonely. And I'm not saying this is the first time I felt lonely because that's wild, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's one thing to be alone, but it's one thing to feel like you're the only one out here. So this is one of those things.
Yeah.
Where you feel like the hate and the devil keep jumping me.
Ooh.
Shout out to the Migos. But yeah, man, that's you know.
Very real.
I think that's a fair assessment of my life.
Okay.
But, you know, at the same time, I don't let it beat me up. Or I try not to. I just work harder, which is not good. But that's my talk. That's how I deal with it. It's like, oh, things are trash. Let's do more.
No.
Let's bury this. Let's bury this. But yeah, so
Okay.
but yeah,
Okay.
I'm up.
Okay. What are you doing to like bring the 3 up?
The 3 up.
Yeah. For the mental health. We need to bring it up.
So what am I? I just told you I'm suppressing it. There ain't nothing to bring it up.
So you're not gonna let it out. You should,
I mean, I'll probably let it out one day. Probably on like Saturday.
it's okay.
Actually, you know what? That's not true. 'Cause you know what? Since I went to therapy, I've had a new phenomenon. I cry in silence. Such a weird phenomenon. I hate it.
Okay, when you say you cry in silence, you mean when you have a silent moment to yourself, or do you cry silently, like no sound, no tears?
I mean both. I'm not. When I was younger, I was but like, nah, I ain't been like that in a minute. But like, no, I'm like you know, sometimes I'll be sitting there and like, if I'm here, my roommate's gone, I'm here by myself. I turn the music off and I sit there. I just start crying.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes if I'm driving and I forget to put music on, I'd be driving. I'm like, what's going on? And
That's fine.
That's whack. I think it's so stupid. I tell my therapist, I said, you broke me.
I know.
I used to be so resilient. Yeah. Now I'm over here just driving down the street crying. Like, I just think to myself, like, what if somebody looks over to me like, what the fuck has he got going on over there? No music, just double fist in the wheel.
I'm probably just thinking Brad's having a hard day today.
But that's what I'm saying. It don't be that deep. That's what I'd be like. It'd be more like example, yesterday, I'm sitting on the couch. Richard's gone. I'm sitting on the couch. And I'm chilling. I was reading a book. Then I just put my book down and I sit there and just think about, like, you know, going to that space where, like, you know, I'm putting distance between certain people and certain things. And then, like I said, allowing room for the next steps and creating that space in the systems, and like just thinking about like what people are going through. And I just sit there and get so sad. My heart gets so heavy and I start getting emotional and crying. I'm like, I just be like, that's so stupid. Like what? Like cause like I'm that's the sad part. Cause I be sitting there like, what am I crying for? I'm good. Like my life is good. I'm over here crying because other people's life, from my perspective, looking kind of shaky.
Life be life and.
Well, guys, welcome to another episode of Special Friends Podcast. It's your boy Wuzi, and I'm here with...
What's up, y'all, with Professor B, a.k.a. Ali B.
Okay, a.k.a. Ali B. And yeah, we're here.
We're here.
Tuned in for the T-Woo session.
I like it, though.
T-Woos.
Open up with it. On the couch with T-Woos.
Maybe one day. I can never be a therapist.
When we have guests, yeah.
Open up with therapy?
Yeah.
I gotta wear my glasses when I do that.
Yeah.
Have them hanging right here. How does that make you feel?
But you got to get the little part so you can hang them off your neck.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
The little chain.
I want the ones that split, though. The ones that go. So I go, whoosh. I feel like those are the coolest ones.
What's that, like a little magnetic that pulls them together?
A little magnet bridge.
You don't want the kind with the sunglasses that flip up?
Ew.
Oh, too lame.
No, it's not lame. It's just giving like you want to be cool. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't say I wanted it.
Because you said, oh my bad. I didn't mean to offend you.
No, this is your therapist style. I'm just.
Oh no, yeah, you know, like
trying to give you some spice for your therapy for the
say,
T-Woos.
Shout out to therapy on the phone.
Yeah.
I never had to experience people writing stuff down because I don't know how I will be able to focus if I see my therapist writing.
Oh.
Do they write? I always see them.
My therapist. Sometimes she writes things down, but sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes it's just like a conversation. Depends. If it's like new stuff, probably.
I feel like when I see writing, it's like I want to ask, what are you writing? Write it down.
Usually it's just like key stuff for them to remember because you
hand me that.
Going all over the place when you talk therapy.
Hand me that book. See what you're writing about me. This is my therapy session. Let me see what you're writing about me.
Let me see your notes.
I mean, like I think about the same thing. Like you're a teacher. You have to write notes when people are giving speeches, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like if I was in the same space, like.
Sometimes I do wonder if they like peek over at my notes when I like walk away to go do something like turn lights on or something. I don't know.
Miss B, give me your note.
They'll just ask me after class, can you give me some feedback? And I'll tell them what I wrote on their paper.
You tell them exactly? Verbatim?
Pretty much. Sometimes I say it maybe a little bit gentler than how straightforward I might write it down. But usually I'm pretty gentle even in how I write it down. Like, people are insecure about their public speaking. So I try to be, really encouraging in the criticism. But direct.
Yeah. I feel it. Sounds like too much for me. I'll be worried about dumb stuff.
Well, a good speaker will learn how to stop worrying about the dumb stuff and just focus on being themselves.
But I'm dumb.
Unfortunately, we can't fix you today.
Yeah, not like that. But like, like I'm like, why did I like, you ever give us something you're like, I felt good about that. And then like, why did I give that analogy?
It's like that one thing you can't let go. Everything else went good, but it's that one thing. I should have said this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever like, granted, you're a master.
I am.
In it, but like, do you ever like have those moments you wake up like, I should have said that?
Sometimes after class.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the next class I try to remember to just say it then.
Oh yeah, because you got constant iterations.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's like the last class, or sometimes like if I wrap up an assignment and I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have like framed it in this way, but I'll just have to try it again next semester. There's always next semester. There's always the next class.
I think that's like I think about it now. Like I'm gonna ask you. Take this with a grain of salt.
Okay.
What gets the better version of you, the first class or the last class?
Honestly, probably the first class.
Yeah.
Because I'm a morning person too.
Okay.
So my favorite time to teach is like 7:30 a.m.
Okay.
And 7:30, 9 o'clock. But I don't always get that. Sometimes I get like the 1 o'clocks, 1:30, 4:30. It's horrible because not only am I not at my best at those hours, I'm not at my brightest, I'm tired. Usually I'm just like ready to be at home. And students are too. You know, so much of your day. So by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you could have had such a shitty morning, such a bad morning, such a bad day that like being in that space no longer, like the whole day has tainted your energy for the rest of the day. I try not to let that happen in my with my classes. Like just they get a fresh version of me in each time. But, you know, the later the day gets, the more tired and more like tried I've been.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I was more thinking from the space of like, I think about like sometimes when you have that organic conversation, like that first go at a conversation, and the ideas just come like boom, 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 and then I think about like you might have like the first class, you're just like you just had like these organic moments, but then by this last class, like do I feel like I don't know? I always feel like reiterating the same thing.
No, it's not even about like me, like the version of me that they get. Sometimes it might be like in my explanation, and that always gets better the more times I've like facilitated a particular activity or discussion. But it's also about like the personality of the class and like how smart they are as a collective and individually. You know, because I've had classes where like most of them just take the class as like a joke kind of. And so that's what you get. We have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. But then, you know, when it comes to talking about real stuff that could actually help you, it's a joke. And we don't actually make really good progress sometimes. But sometimes that energy, like if people feel like they could just joke around and be themselves, they might actually surprise you and, you know, give them something more thought provoking. So it depends on the personality of the class and what they bring out of each other.
Okay.
You know, and how I facilitate that more than it does like the time of day.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I could be a teacher.
It's a calling. I don't really think teaching is like a career that like people should just do because it looks cool. Like I really feel like you should feel called to be in this line of service.
Yeah, my phone's on silent.
Phone's on silent.
No, I'm talking about on that calling. D&D. Do not call this phone.
Okay, whatever.
I just say that because like
that's cool.
It's about the patience. I think I feel like the actual going through it, I feel like I can probably do that part. It's the patience.
It does take a profound amount of patience and maturity. Like for a good amount of the early part of my career, I was so sensitive and insecure just about my authority. Like, you know, if my students were really listening to me, taking me seriously. And so, yeah, I had like a chip on my shoulder about it a little bit, you know, and students would feel more comfortable because I was insecure, and I think they could see it. And even if they couldn't, I was reactive. So anything that felt like it was a challenge to my authority, to my sense of like security, yeah, I would be very like triggered. I'd be triggered, and you know, I've had students like kind of go off on me and bring out, you know, a side of me that I just would love to not be in the classroom. So, you know, we've made a lot of progress since then, but it is patience. It is like, you know, maturing and having some grace with yourself, because people expect like perfection out of teachers. They expect us to kind of like keep our composure at all times, to, you know, be fair at all times, when our students majority of the time are not fair to us, and our students majority of the time are not perfect either, but yeah, and still they expect that from us.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be an example.
You can be an example of greatness, but not perfection. And I think I do that.
Yeah. I'm just joking.
No, I know. But anyway.
Yeah.
I feel passionately about that.
Shout out to teachers, though. Because, I mean, I do think about, granted, I never went to college, but I do think about the teachers of, like, man, anybody who teaches, like, the adolescents, and I'm not talking about, like, elementary school, like, there's kind of, like, some grace there to understand, like, okay, a kid is going to be a kid. I just feel bad for anybody between like middle school and like graduating class of high school. I just like big shout out to those teachers because you're dealing with like I say this not to I say this as a fallacy because it's not fully true, but you're dealing with the worst parts, the worst parts of people, like
of children.
Yeah, because like now at this point you feel like you have some self agency, you feel like you have some sort of control over your life, and you do. But then you combine that with like, 5 to 6 other teachers who are trying to tell you what to do. And I remember being in those classes. And I remember like feeling for those teachers like, man, you have to do this 5 times a day. Jesus, for all year. And like, don't get me wrong, they probably have some good classes, but I remember shout out to Miss Johnson. We used to give Miss Johnson the work. Our English teacher.
It's trash to do that to your teachers.
Well, I mean,
was she a trash teacher?
No, she was a great teacher. That's the thing. She was a great teacher, teaching us how to break down songs and understanding the metaphors and all that stuff. But just being kids, wasn't paying attention. So now you're like, granted, that is where I learned how to be wax lyrical and wax poetic.
I don't know what that means.
Well, like put on a show, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay.
Like, example, I couldn't stand The Crucible.
Oh.
So when they would read it, I just wouldn't pay attention. But then you get, Jara, explain what just happened. Explain the theme that's being presented here. And I had to come up with some bullshit. I just feel like there's some themes of, there's a little bit of, you really try to get into it. And it's like, I'm pretty sure she knows, but at the same time, it's like, I'm pretty good at BSing. I could BS my way through some stuff.
I got some students that I think like to do that too. Like BS their way through their speeches.
There's some themes of like, there's some themes of religion here. And listen, pro tip. There's always a theme of religion. Not always. Theme of religion is a safe theme to go for because there's usually a theme of religion in most things. That's like the safest theme to go for.
If you say that in my class, I'm going to ask you to explain how.
Yeah.
And just no.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
No.
In most books and everything, like,
in case any of my students ever watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works like that in college.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, you don't want to embarrass people, but because people will BS you, and you don't know why they're BSing. It could be that they genuinely didn't have time to read. Your face.
I love BSing. It cracks me up.
That sucks. It sucks because I have no idea how to tell the truth with my students. Like when they really need me to believe them. I just have to believe them, regardless of if they're telling the truth or not. But I always also have to have like a healthy level of skepticism with every truth because the BS is real in college. And in a way that I feel like, I don't know. Like in high school, it's like normal to be called out for your BS. Once you get to college, it's like you're in charge of calling out your own BS. And so as an instructor, you can call it out. But if the individual is doesn't give a damn, it doesn't matter how many nice or harsh words you give the person to tell them the truth.
That's real.
You know what I mean? So
interesting.
I can't tell you how many times I've like tried to encourage students who really did not give a damn about my class.
Well,
those who won't care just won't care. And that's okay.
in the segue of not giving a damn, Keke Palmer.
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trailing all the way off over here.
No, not at all. I mean, it was just a conversation, but
Yeah.
you know, I obviously, Keke Palmer, Darius Jackson, everybody's talked about it at this point.
At this point, yeah.
And
What's there left to be said?
Poor Keke. Such a private person to have her business put out like this by
her ex-boyfriend or
boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Messy. But I will say this. Keke can do no wrong. Keke is on Beyonce level. She can do no wrong.
Said the entire internet.
Dangerous, but the truth.
Well, most of the internet, yeah. Unless they're on Darius Jackson's side.
Huh? And I don't think, you know what? I will say, so obviously, we don't have to explain what happened with the Keke Palmer situation. If you don't know, just Google Keke Palmer, and I'm pretty sure it'll come up.
Keke Palmer and Usher, or Keke Palmer at Usher concert.
Yeah, pretty much. But I kind of wanted to get into, like, I don't think anybody's wrong in the situation. Personally, as I sat and thought about it, I feel like no side was wrong. The only thing I feel like was wrong is he took it to social media like a weirdo. I feel like that was a phone call situation.
Easy, yeah, I agree. Now here's what I don't know if I can say nobody was wrong, but what I can say is I don't think it's fair for that women can only show cheeks in bikinis.
You know, when I looked through the lens of Keke Palmer's outfit, it wasn't that bad.
I know.
We talked about it before. She has way better outfits than that.
I mean, like fashion style wise, she's got some better options or better outfits that she's chosen.
Sexual appeal. She's had better outfits than that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I as a woman, I would feel sexy in that. Like if it's like, it's frustrating that, like I said, the only place that's appropriate for us to show our cheeks is at the beach, or if we're walking around in Miami, maybe, or if you are in sex work. Like those are the only 3 occasions where it's appropriate to see a woman with her cheeks out. But my thing is, leave us alone. Leave us alone. You know, like, I don't know. I don't think anybody has a right to tell women how to dress or even tell us like what we're going to get as a result of what we're dressed like. We already know that. What would be better is, how about you check your thoughts. And if you see somebody thinking inappropriately or speaking inappropriately because of the way that I'm dressed, then do the work and speak up on it. Like, maybe don't shame me and tell me to dress differently. Maybe you worry about you and I'll worry about me looking fine with my cheeks out with this little sheer dress over it. That's what I would think it would be nice if the world operated like that.
Well, like I said, we talked about it before we started. It was an outfit. The outfit wasn't that bad.
It was how she behaved.
No, it wasn't how she behaved. I said that earlier when we talked privately. I take that back too.
Okay. What is this?
I think it was just a prior situation going on, and this was just a bubbling.
Yeah, true. Just burst.
Because like I looked at the outfit, I'm like, you know what? Her cheeks was out, but that was about it. And she just got a bunda. I mean, nothing she could do.
If she didn't have a big butt, would it be as big of a deal?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, cause I think about was it Kendall? Mm-hmm. Kendall be wearing stuff like that, and I think it's still like, even though you don't have a big bunda, it's like, and that was the point I made. I was thinking about sheer dresses. I think about Rihanna. Completely nothing. Yeah.
The only people that
she
get
had a whole
away,
bodysuit on.
I guess I feel like the only people who can really get away with something like that are really celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I've been to the club often and seen regular people, but I do see some people in sheer dresses like that. I'm not saying I don't see it at all. I definitely see it on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've seen it in person. I've seen like I guess that's still beach attire where it's like the the shirt that looks like it's like tore up, look like some rags. It's like tore up, and they got the bikini under.
Yeah.
Usually they'll have it in like Rastafari colors or something.
Yeah.
I've seen those, but I don't know. Like I said, for me, it's not even an outfit. Like I said, I'm gonna be real. When I heard it was like, as I think about it more, this was just something they had going on, and the internet caught wind of it, and Usher came up with a free promotion. Like, I do think, and the reason why, to go back to what I said at the beginning, like the reason why I say like, I feel like nobody did anything wrong. Again, the way he reacted was terrible. I don't think he should have went to the internet.
Okay.
I don't think, especially if it's true that you saw her leave the house with it on, for you to go on the internet when she's at the Usher show is wild. So I just think it was whack that he went to social media. But I mean, if he felt the ways, I mean,
yeah, I mean, like if my man was uncomfortable with it, I would be fine to change. Excuse me. But I would think that like I'd be in a relationship with a man who's like attracted to my style as is, so that I wouldn't have to like make those sort of changes and have to be concerned that like what I'm wearing is offending, you know, not offending, but violating like the boundaries of our relationship.
Yeah.
But I also just feel like trying to control a person's dress or anything behavior is kind of like weird. Not in the best interest of the relationship. And that's why I said earlier, like, worry about you and let me worry about me.
That's what I said. So I want to ask you, because I was thinking about it, like, was there a right way of handling the situation?
Yeah, the internet said it offline.
Okay.
And also, I just think, like you said, I think it was a previous issue. So, you know, having those conversations, those important conversations and realizations before you have a kid and before you really start building together. Because it's one thing to be in a relationship and be finding these things out and be seriously committed, but it's another thing when like now you have another human life in the equation, and it's like now you have two leadership styles that potentially are not compatible. And you know, kids need like parents to be on the same page. They need clarity. And I don't know, I just feel like those are conversations you got to think about, because if you don't agree in the moment when you're building together, you know, you got to figure out if that's going to affect the long term. And I feel like this is a major conflict that affects the long term, including their kid. They have a son together. Like how their son sees women, how they dress, even how their son sees his mom, I think is going to be an interesting conversation as he gets older and when their kid has to circle back to this viral moment.
Do you think it will come back up then? I don't think it's that deep.
It's their parents.
Yeah.
I think like their kids are going to be interested in knowing, like, especially if their parents came apart because of this. Uh-huh. Yeah, I do think that eventually, once they're older, and I don't think it'll be like I'm just saying, like, if they're apart now, that's two different narratives that this kid now is going to have to struggle with making sense of to help them like move through this world. And I just think if we have those conversations sooner, we can prevent ourselves from having kids that have two parents with completely polar opposite approaches in life, which creates, I think, just more complexity in finding yourself and like navigating life. It's already difficult to navigate life. It's even harder when you've got parents that don't see eye to eye.
This is why I believe in marriage before having babies.
I mean, that would be ideal, but it's not like the reality, sadly.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't know if marriage is because you can get married and still not know these things about each other. So to me,
if you not saying if you get married and you don't know, but if you get married and don't find out, that's kind of wild to me. Because like there's a couple
people
I follow.
Do though.
No, I know. There's a couple I follow named it's a vlogger Ali Zaitza. Her and her boyfriend or her husband, she just came out and said that they've been married for 2 years now. But they've been together for like 5 or 7 years, something crazy. And he said, like, even though they've known each other and lived with each other since they got together. Once they got married, it has been like a different, like learning a lot more. Now they also work together. They have a podcast together and stuff like that. And through that, they've learned a lot more about each other. So I don't think like when you get married, you know everything.
No, but this...
I feel like stuff like that you should know before.
This sort of stuff you should know, but like clearly they didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's what and I know they weren't married.
I wonder if that's a byproduct of just their lifestyle they live too.
Well, they met. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like plenty of people would. This is a very relatable position. Like just because she's a celebrity and like, I think it's still a very relatable problem.
Well, I'm saying like, go ahead.
Because I feel like there were plenty of men who echoed what Darius was feeling. Like echoed like, yeah, I wouldn't want my girl to be. Even when we first talked, you were saying, yeah, I can see why he's upset. Like, you know, men are territorial, and at least you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of just seems like men are somewhat territorial of the person that they're with and how they're seen as a result of the person that they're with, you know. But you disagree?
What that I know. I think men are territorial for sure. I think I don't know. I don't think that's I think both. I think we're both men and women territorial because I've definitely been on both sides. I feel like with his situation, the reason I can relate to it, but I do understand that we're in two different places. Mm-hmm. Like you said, Keke wearing something like that is a lot more normal because she's going out and plan on being like, you know, cameras being there. She's all like, you know, there is like, she's planning on being seen. Mm-hmm. So she is allowed like a next level of freedom what she wears because she knows she's going to be seen. Mm-hmm. Or at least a photograph, I should say. You know, like I told you before with me, like if Keke was wearing something like that, or if like if I was dating a girl and she wore something like that, like I said, I'm like, as long as you come home, I ain't
I'm saying.
like as long as you come home, I ain't tripping.
A good, secure man is going to do that.
Yeah.
Is going to feel proud and to be with somebody so desirable.
Now, to their point, if the relationship is a little shaky and she goes out and something like that, I can feel that. You know, like I said, we're on bad terms. You go out, bust out the cheeks. I'm going to feel a ways.
Yeah. I understand.
And like I said, I'm all for I'm not for the petty. But at one point, I was all for the petty. You know.
Just trying to get a rise out of somebody.
You know, make somebody feel a ways. You know, guys do it too. Sometimes I don't know if guys do it, but you know, some guys, you know what, I'm finna get the haircut. Or some guys with dreads, I'm finna go get the fresh retwist, make her feel a ways. Dang, why he smell good? Why his hair look different? Especially if you do it after you know.
Yeah, a good fresh lineup is nice. Good smelling good.
After an argument, though, that's so foul.
So disrespectful.
How can I be mad at you?
Coming in here in that lingerie. You know what I mean? Talking about men's lingerie.
I don't know.
Talking about them sweats. It's a nice casual look, smelling all good, but looking all fresh with your fresh cut, smelling good, skin good. First of all,
you know what? You know.
I was mad.
That's another thing. I know something I used to do. I don't know if it was petty or if I was trying to resolve the situation. The jury's still out. But I know if I got on somebody's nerves and I know they're mad at me, I'll get their favorite food. Because now you got to talk to me. Yeah, I got Wingstop. Yes, I got hot wings. Do you want some?
Yeah.
Nope, can't have none till you talk to me.
No. Oh my God, that'd be like Survivor.
But yeah.
But yeah, I know. That would probably work for me, but
you say it wouldn't?
It probably would.
I mean,
bring me some boba. But I feel like I'm not easy to come down when I'm angry, but yeah. I'm kind of, after a certain point, I can be very amicable, or amicable.
You gotta do this at you don't do this like hour one. You do this you test out hour one, test the temp. Oh, she mad. Okay. Then hour 2, 2.5. You either say I'm gonna go get something to eat, and then like pro get out there, you want some? They still a little hot. That's when I gotta hook, line, and sinker. Like, all right, I know exactly what to get. But if they like, oh, I'm gonna go with you. Then you have a little conversation in the ride. And where we going? Your favorite, In and Out. Oh my God, I love you so much. This is why. I'm telling you, food. They say they be saying like the way to a nigga's heart is food. I really think it's the other way around. I think a way to a woman's heart is some food. Especially if you know what they want already, because y'all don't never know what y'all want.
No, we don't. Well, I don't. But then I do. I know what I love, but yeah, I don't know what I want in that moment. So
it's like I'm just gonna pick for you. It's like, oh my God, I love you so much. Wow. But yeah, like I said, I told you before, like we talked about before, like this week has been like weird. Like I think we should talk about boundaries.
Okay.
Like boundaries in a relationship. Like obviously there's been a lot of situations where the Keke Palmer situation, the Jonah Hill situation, and the last one I don't want to talk about, but
Adam 22.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. But
you don't have to, but I feel like just for the sake of the spectrum being clear.
Yeah, I just say this: if you save, don't look that up situation up. But like,
yeah, don't. Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as the Jonah Hill situation and like the Keke situation, like seeing, I think it is important to understand boundaries, and more important, when to set boundaries.
I love how you don't want to bring up the other one because I get it, but
But I want to ask you, like, I feel like I don't know. Have we talked about this? Anyway, I don't care if we talked about it before. Is it hard? Like I said, I get it when you're in that phase of like the honeymoon phase and like the lust phase. You kind of let your boundaries go to the wayside. So I feel like there's some grace in that. But like, when is a good time to set boundaries? Like, is it like good to set them early? Is it good when they arise? Like, what does that look like for you personally? And I'm not talking about boundaries only in a romantic relationship. I'm talking about even like, I guess all flavors. Sometimes you gotta set boundaries with your mama.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Setting boundaries is hard with family because I can't say that like boundary setting has been, something that is a power of a child, if you will. Like, I don't know. I feel like as a kid, it's like you do what you're told. These days, kids have like a lot more agency and ability to like have boundaries with their parents. But like how I grew up was not necessarily like that. And I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of like not living it out in my adult life because my parents are good about giving me space, giving me the boundaries I need. But I do think it's like an organic thing to get to my point, regardless of if it's romantic or if it's like familial or if it's platonic. Like, I think your needs and relationships are evolving and changing, especially as you evolve and change. So, I think you bring them up as you need them, as you change and as you just determine, like, for example, and, like with my mom and I share locations with each other. And most people at like 30 probably wouldn't share their location with their parents, but it helps my mom's anxiety. At the end of the day, I tried to turn it off, and she was like, but I really feel at peace being able to just check.
Does she just watch?
No. She just, like, if she calls me and I can't pick up, she'll just be like, oh, is she all right? Mm-hmm. It's not like a, where you at? Why you here? It's not like a,
I ain't never seen that address before.
Yeah, and if she is, I don't know. But she says that's not what she uses it for.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I trust her, but at the same time, like navigating those boundaries of like what I want versus what gives her peace of mind, like what's worth sacrificing, my ego and wanting to just like be able to be off the grid from all people, or being able to help my mom with one layer of having mental peace. Because from what I hear from all parents is like, you never stop worrying about your kids. You know what I mean? And that's something I can't really understand because I don't have kids. And so it's like, I feel like this is my best ability to be empathetic to that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Sometimes I'm also like, is it appropriate for me to be sharing my location with my mom? I don't know what the healthy boundaries are. It feels healthy, but everybody else I know doesn't. So I feel like, yeah, like I said, it's like an organic thing, because what works for me and my mom might not be the norm for everybody else and their mom. Maybe that's not a norm that we should have, but I don't know. It's working for us right now, and I don't know, when it doesn't, I feel like we'll have to cross that bridge. And if it's a difficult boundary to set, then it will be, but it'll have to be set regardless.
I feel like, you know, I think this is a good segue into the conversation of like,
actually, one more thing. I do think that, like, if I had a partner like somebody else, she wouldn't be as concerned. You know what I mean? But like, because I'm a single woman and everything like that, I think there's just like that layer of, you know, is she good? You know, is she safe? And also, if anything happens to her, I want to be able to say, I know, I have her location. So I think it's coming from like a very genuine place. I don't think it's coming from like a trying to manage my life or trying to be nosy about where I am and who, you know, I don't know, who I spend my time with.
I mean, given obviously I don't know her, but given this the way that you're explaining it, I don't think it comes from a place of like, I want to know where she's at all the time. I definitely do think it comes from a place of security and just trying to feel comfortable and knowing like, yeah, my daughter's an adult, but I do want to be, especially if we have the access to something like that, I do want to have the peace of mind of like, whew, she's at home or she's at her friend's house or she's at work, whatever.
Or it's like if I'm traveling, oh, she made it.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
I wanted to use this to segue into the conversation because I brought up to talk about like family dynamics. And as you were talking, I was just thinking about that. Like, you're like, I don't know if it's healthy. I do, you know, I talked to you. I went to go visit my girlfriend's dad, and in that they have a little bit more of a I guess you could say tighter family structure. Like they kind of do everything together. Granted, they have younger children, so it makes sense. But I was as you were talking, I was thinking about that, and I do believe. There's not two types, there's probably more, but the two types that come to mind right now for me of families is like the family member that knows everything about each other. You know, like your mom knows everything about what you got going on, and the brother knows everything what the sister got going on, stuff like that. And there's a family where you like know the minimum. Like, I know you got a girlfriend, but don't know where y'all at, you know, whatever. Or like, even like sometimes I don't even know, I know you dating. You know, like, and I think, you know, I remember me and my cousin talked about this before, and it could be very jarring because like I come from a family that's pretty mixed, but it does weigh, it weighs more on kind of knowing everything. Like my mom, for the most part, knows about everything I got going on interpersonally, at least as far as like she inquires about, you know, like I'm not hiding anything from my mom. And I think my sister, same thing. Like I don't hide like things that I've been through or how I feel about certain things. At least I'm not good at it. I don't try to hide what's going on and whatnot. So I and now I'm thinking about it, like it's weird. I don't want to say it's weird. It's abnormal to me to think that there are people who like hide a part of their lives from their family. Like there's a part like, and I get it. Like I don't think your mom should know everything.
Yeah.
But like, it's weird to be like, you know, you might be going for a promotion, or you might be struggling with like I'm like, say if I'm going for, say like this, I'm doing a podcast, and I got the different ideas, the different thoughts I feel about the podcast. My mom knows that stuff. I think it's weird that some people will have something like this and their parents don't know anything about it, or they know the bare minimum.
That's my family.
We know the bare minimum?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know you did that for real.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't share with most people. So I was just talking to my bonus dad today before I got here, kind of just giving him a little life update. And I told him I was on my way to record this podcast. And he was like, oh, you have a podcast? And I was like, yes. What's it on? You know, we just, you know, everyday things that are happening in the world and our lives, kind of shooting the breeze, if you will. And he was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, yeah, it's on My mom watches it sometimes. He's like, it's on video. So I was like, I thought maybe I had mentioned this, but I just post my stuff on Instagram and think that everybody sees it when that's really not the case with my family. So, life be lifing for me. And then, I'll give my family an update and they'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was going on. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I do think that they do desire to be more in the know.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it changed. I used to tell my family everything, but I feel like these days I have too many ideas and creative goals that, like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it just like goes over their head and it's like not super, I don't know, interesting to them. So yeah, I just kind of keep it as like my own world, and I'm really good about being in my own world. But that's kind of what one of the, I think, benefits of coming from a family that's kind of free as can be, if you will. Like, you really have the space to create your own world, your reality. And, it's not necessarily shaped as much by everybody else.
Yeah.
And in some regards, I think that that's really beautiful when other people help to shape it, but, or help to shape you. But I don't know. I like the freeness of surprising my family.
Really? That's what's weird, because I think about it like, as far as like our demeanor, my family's very free in the sense of like, my mom, granted, it's taking time. It took me like, I remember, I think I was 18, turning 19, and I took my first flight without, like, planned it and did everything without inquiring about her at all. I remember she was so, I won't use the word hurt, but she was so like taken aback by it. She was like, you were just going to go to Denver and not say nothing? I'm like,
oh my God.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you that I'm going to Denver now, but like, I wasn't going to tell you about the planning process of going to Denver. Like, that's wild. And I remember she was like, so like stunned. I mean, I don't know what she was stunned about. I guess I'll have to inquire with her about what it was, but.
Or that you didn't need her to answer any of the questions to get there.
I had Google, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but yeah, but parents, before you get to that place, they're used to being needed to answer all the questions to help you with everything. So
yeah,
to not be of use in that way is probably shocking sometimes for some parents.
And I think also too, like, like I was one of those kids. I don't know if I'm the treasure child, but I was one of those kids where. Is that recording? Yeah, it's recording.
Is it?
Yeah, because I see the red light. I don't know why that triggered me, but
oh my God, it triggered me too. I was like, no.
But I was saying, like, I was one of those children where, like, if I got on a bus to go to LA, somebody was there for me. Like, anytime I traveled, there was somebody on the receiving end to like catch me. I think this is like one of the first times for her where it was like when you get there, what are you gonna do? I'm like, Uber. It's like, Uber where? To the hotel. Who you going to the hotel with? Myself. What do you mean? Like, alone. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm thinking. I haven't thought about it in a while, but like, yeah, like I feel like. What was the point? I think the point I was making was that we're free in that way where we kind of all make our own decisions, like make our own decisions removed from the family, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think everybody is included, like when that decision is being made, like I'm moving, but I'm letting y'all all know that I'm moving. Like, I'm not hiding in like last day I'm moving. It's more like, yeah, I'm gonna be moving to, or like, I remember I was quitting my job. So my mom was like, yeah, I'm quitting my job. You think that's a smart idea? I'm like, yeah, I thought about it already. Like, I'm just letting you know that I'm quitting though. Like, I'm gonna put my 2 weeks in. Like, I'm not asking for permission to put my 2 weeks in. I'm more like, this is what's happening.
Oh yeah. That's it. That's the case with my family too.
Yeah.
But I'll let them know I'm thinking about something, thinking about applying for something, or I've applied for something, and then I go through it and I let them know how it goes. It's kind of like, yeah, as life happens, I let them know. But, I don't know. I used to share everything, and I got to this place where discretion became a lot more important to me, and I really only share what I feel I need to share.
So let me ask you, when you say discretion, like what are you like trying to minimize by not like sharing?
For one, my dating life. Like, I don't tell them about my dating life, and it's just personal. It's just kind of like, when I have somebody that I'm serious about, absolutely you're going to know. But until then, I'm okay figuring it out on my own. I'm okay coming to ask for help when I need it. But generally, like, I don't want to involve my family in, you know, the getting to know you phase. It just doesn't tend to be long lasting anyway. So
yeah,
I'm not saying that it won't be in the long run, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to drag my family through all that.
And what happened to Terry? We're not talking about Terry more.
You know, and the amount of times that no, it's, how about when somebody of like high quality comes along that I also choose, because it's also like revealing myself and revealing like things that I don't do right. And I don't know, I'm sensitive about my family knowing that kind of stuff too.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I'm like such a perfectionist with them.
I will say I'm different that way. My sister knows. Well, my mom don't know, but my sister knows pretty much everything about me.
Well, my siblings, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
My siblings is different. But even with my siblings, it's like, I'm the closest with my youngest sister, probably my bonus sister, and my younger brother. I have 2 older sisters, but I'm not as close with them. Like, we're still getting to know each other. So I would say my youngest sister is probably the sibling that knows me the best. But all my siblings have like different moms.
Yeah.
I'm my mom's only child with my dad. I'm my only grandparents' grandchild, my uncle's only niece. So there's a lot of like, it's just me. And I don't really, at this big age, want everybody to be so hyper focused on my dating life. I want my family to be focused on who I'm becoming, like the music I love to make, you know, like the podcasts I'm making. You know, I want them to be interested in the
one that you were hiding.
The one I'm not even hiding it.
Joking.
You know, and that's the thing. It's not that I'm hiding it. It's that like, I don't feel like my family asks about the other stuff. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to just willingly offer all the cool things I'm doing, you know, partly because I don't feel like it's interesting to all of my family, but also because, you know, they don't ask. You know, they ask me about my dating life, and that's why I don't talk about it very much, because that's all they care to know about. And quite honestly, I don't know, it's just not their business.
Interesting.
It's not their business.
Yeah.
Until it is. I love you, Mom.
I guess that makes sense.
I do tell my mom some things though. Like my mom does know, like, when I've met somebody, when things have not worked out, or if they are working out, but she doesn't always know like why things don't work out. I don't really always tell her all the details, because sometimes I'm tired of talking about them and I don't want to hear her. I love you, Mom, but sometimes she be right, and I'm like, you ever get like that?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I've dated a good amount, but I think my family has met. Well, my mom and my sister, I think they met about everybody I've ever dated. I think everybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay.
Yeah, I would say everybody I seriously dated for sure.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't seriously dated somebody in a long time.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And that's not for lack of trying or not wanting that. It's just been my reality. And it's difficult in my opinion, for my mom gets it. I think my dads get it, but like my grandparents, especially my grandma, I don't really think she gets it, because she was courting and dating in a completely different time. And the pool of eligible men that are available is not what it once was. Like the kind of men that are available today are not the same kind of men that were available when she was, you know, looking for her person. So, it's that part where it's just like, I don't want to have to keep explaining why things don't work out for me when it's the kind of the landscape of dating. I'm not saying that I didn't play my role too. Mm-hmm. That's stuff that I'm willing to own up to. Mm-hmm. But if all you want to know about is my dating life, like, it's going to be a lot of failure. And I just don't care to talk about a lot of failure. I'd rather talk about, if I'm going to talk about failure, I'd rather talk about how, like, I failed a note on one of my recordings, but I found a new one.
Yeah.
Or I'm working through it right now, working to try to have access to it. I don't know if that makes sense.
I would say, I wonder if talking about it more would open the door for them to ask about it more.
Maybe. Probably.
Because I think about example, like my clothing brand and about my podcast. If I didn't talk about it, I mean, one, they most likely wouldn't know unless someone brought it up third party.
Yeah.
But I feel like by talking about it and talking about the plans I have for it, I feel like it prompts people to, when they think about me, how's the podcast?
Ask.
How's the clothing brand? I haven't seen you drop a hoodie in a while, but, and those questions. Granted, to your point of like, like example, like with the clothing brand, like dropped the hoodie and then for a year didn't drop anything as I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. That could be kind of like, hey, when you going to drop something again? It's like, but like, but I think it's also like an accountability thing too. It feels like for me, at least in that moment of the brand, there's like accountability. Like, okay, I told these people about this thing. I can't just be like, oh no, I don't exist now. But that's like kind of like why I do it. But I do think there's discretion for me. Like the only time I feel like I have discretion with my family is when I'm struggling, and not like financially, because I've never truly financially struggled. Like I've never been like I've been in debt before, but I've never been like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay the rent today. Mm-hmm. Like I've never been in that situation. But like when I'm like, if I'm going through, like if I'm having a hard time, I think my family can tell, but I'm not like, yeah, mom, it's bad. Like I'm going through it. Like I don't know. I've never, and granted, it's also never been an inquiry about it. Like I've told him about me going to therapy, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the line. And I don't know. I don't think that's good either. I think family should know.
Yeah.
Because I know I definitely check in my mom, my brothers, my mom, my sister, my cousins, my aunt. I check in on well-being, and like also I'm like the person who passes along information as well. Like if I see something, I'll like send it to them. Like look what happened to this person, and not like on a gossip thing, but like crazy. Like,
yeah.
Look at this. Like update. Wow. Guess who I saw yesterday? Guess who I talked to yesterday? Or I'm notorious for, hey, this blah blah blah's birthday. Tell them happy birthday. Like I'm like that person, and I think that's cool. Like to be connected in that way.
Yeah.
But I am very discerning about like, because I just be feeling like you said, I don't like to talk about like my mental health, because I don't like when people inquire about my mental health, because like I'm not like, even though like I go through depression, I'm not like a person who's like, sometimes people hear, especially when you talk about black people, like black families, you hear depression and you attach it with like addiction and like suicide and different things, like the negative things of it. And I'm like, no, I'm just having a hard time right now. It's like, are you sure you're good? I don't want to find out something. It's like, relax. How about I don't tell you? I'm all right. And I don't know, but I guess it kind of take a step back. Like, I think it's been like when I went to go visit my girlfriend's family. Like, I think it's cool to see different family dynamics.
Yeah.
Especially at a point where it's like, I have a family, but when you create your own family, like how you want that to look. I think it's pretty cool to see like my girlfriend's boyfriend's family. She said there's the type of people where if they go do anything, like everybody rides together. Mm-hmm. And like for me, that's like wild. Like personally, like I think everybody hopping in a car to go somewhere is just wild to me. But it might come from a selfish place as well, because like if I'm tired, I'm not finna get in a car. Like I don't want to be in a car. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, y'all about to leave? I could take a nap. Mm-hmm. Like perfect time for a nap. When y'all come back, y'all wake me up.
My former roommate was kind of like that when we went camping together. Mm-hmm. and she had this very nice agenda of activities, you know, to get together during camping, which included like tubing and fun stuff. But like, I didn't want to tube in particular. I did not want to get in the water. I don't really like getting in water where I can't like see the floor.
Yeah. The murk.
Yeah. I don't know. But also, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, she wanted to do that, and I wanted to just stay at the campsite and color. And she would get frustrated about it. She would get frustrated because, you know, she wanted us all to be enjoying each other. But me, I'm over here like, oh, y'all want to go tubing? Do it. Have fun. And I mean it genuinely. But she's over here like, you know, a little salty that I want to be by myself. Yeah. But that is the nature of having different dynamics, because her family is very close knit. Her family likes to do a lot together, and they take very good care of each other. That's not to say that my family doesn't take good care of one another, but it is shown in a different way. It's not shown in like quality time, you know, and being all up under each other.
You see, my family is like a proximity family, and it's funny because I see that in my own like romantic relationships, where it's like I'm low maintenance. Honestly, like for me, like I need quality time, yes, but like quality time for me, like something for me that I really enjoy and like I kind of need is like I need to know that I could be in the same space with you, but be doing my own thing. Mm-hmm. Like yeah, like for me, like if we're both in the living room, I want to be okay with me being on my laptop and I just look, you know, you over there, whatever, watching TV or whatever, and like. For me, I'm good there. Like, yeah. I'm not the type of person like, I need you to watch the show with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm not that type of person like, I'm watching the show. Can you watch the show with me? You know, or I'm not like we play game. Like, my family plays games. But we're not like, if we're in the same room, we have to be doing something together.
Yeah. Yeah. My family's like that. I feel like, I don't know, we're like a hybrid. Like, we like to spend time together. It's just like, we spend time together for holidays and birthdays. Sometimes if it's just because we feel like it, but mostly it's for like celebrations. And, you know, we call and keep in touch and do our one-on-one visits between all that for the quality time. But yeah, on Thanksgiving, or like, especially when I was in grad school, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like on all those celebrations when we come together, I would still be doing my stuff. I'd be working, I'd be doing my own thing while people are watching TV. But I feel like for a family like that, it's important to be present. And that's something that I've had to kind of shift into, is like, if we're not getting together like families that do everything together when they're in a room together, not to say together so much, but you know, like, we have to definitely be more present when we're together to really maximize that quality time.
I guess I will say too, I have to remember that my family is an entrepreneur family. So like from the age of 17 to 22, we work together like 5 days a week. So I think part of that too is like, listen, I literally saw you yesterday and now you at my house. I do not need to talk to you. You know, like, I don't know, like, you know, I'm not saying that we don't. I guess it's kind of like we're like popcorn. Like you know, when it's like there is no, like, if we're having a big conversation, people come and go. Like, that's how my family usually is. Like, say we're like someone's playing dominoes, like 2 people play dominoes, somebody might come, let me get in, another person would come in, play, game will be over, person leaves, 2 people leave, whatever, or the game ends. It's like stuff like that. Like, people, like, it will usually be like people hop in, hop out. It's not like, come on, y'all, we all finna come play Monopoly. Like, we'll rarely do that, but I don't know. Like, and I think I admire families that do that. I think it's so cool to be like, listen, we all finna get together and we all finna get together and watch this movie. We all finna whatever. And I admire that because my family is not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's more like grandma puts on a movie and then we all get hooked and then somehow we're all 8 on the couch now watching the movie. But it wasn't like, everybody come on, watch the movie.
I feel like that's like my older sister. My older sister and her family are kind of like that. they do a lot together. They, you know, have like cute like matching sleepover like sleep sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have like a lot of kids and stuff. So I feel like it's like the size of the family too. You know, when you have a larger family, you can afford people to come and go. But me, it's a small party of 5.
Yeah.
You can't just like easily exit yourself out of the conversation unless you just weren't in it anyway.
Makes sense.
And for me, because I'm the baby, I often feel like it's easy to just kind of be like there but not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll engage in the conversations if I feel like I have something to contribute of value, but most of the time I'm just listening, and sometimes I don't want to listen, so you know, I'll go mind my business elsewhere.
I just wonder. I think it's crazy because I think about.
It depends on what they're talking about. Sometimes I want to know, but sometimes it's stuff that's like I can't relate and I don't understand what you're talking about. It's too many years beyond my my knowledge and understanding.
Do you still sit at the kids' table?
There is no kids' table anymore. No, but
it's not the grown folks' table and then the young folks' table.
No, like I said, I'm the youngest.
But like by a margin.
Well, like I guess like my uncle's in his late 40s, I think.
Okay.
So like,
there's definitely still young folks and old folks for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's oh wow, really?
Yeah. Like when we get together as pods, like it's be the young folks over there and it be the old folks over there. Like even the old folks, when they hang out just them. Like I recently just got invited to some of the stuff. I'm like, am I getting invited to the old folks functions? I'm not even old yet.
I think they do some stuff like that, but it's mainly like my mom's generation and my grandma's generation. So yeah, kind of, but that it just yeah actually, we kind of do still get sent to the kids' table to an extent, but they tell us like my generation of cousins like y'all need to start planning stuff and things like that, but we're like,
you know, I do gotta agree. I feel like my mom, like the generation of people in their 40s right now, like 40s but inching towards 50, I feel like they're way better at being connected with their like secondary relatives, like cousins and stuff like that. Like my mom gets with her cousins and all that type of stuff. I'm gonna be real, I don't know how you do it, girl.
Me and my cousins might text every now and then.
But I'm talking about like my mom be like, yeah, I'm finna go to LA and hang out with my cousin. Like
I know what you. It's a comparison because my mom, yeah.
Because I'm listen, I am not going there for you. Like I'll be there, and if you want to do so, we can kick it. But like,
I mean,
oof, I want that one day, but I don't know. I don't know how to put that work in. I'm gonna be real.
Well, and I think we're just at the age where like we can't afford it like them. You know, like at that we can afford it, but like across the board with my cousins, we're all still young and developing ourselves professionally, and some are developing themselves in families. So it's just kind of like it's a lot to transition into like being an independent adult and then also having to like manage being the glue or keeping your like relationships with your family close, like especially when all your life you've relied on your family to create opportunities for you to do that. So I don't know, I think we'll come together a little bit more intentionally when we reach their age and we miss family and we start losing family.
That's what I say. I don't know. That's why I get nervous about. I don't want that to be the reason.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to lose a cousin and be like, damn, now I want to start hanging out with my cousins more. Like I kind of, at least that's what my always try to do. Like I always try to be intentional with that. Like,
well, I don't mean like losing a cousin. I mean more like as elders pass on and all you have is like, you know, the generations start to become less older and they start to become more young. Yeah. Well, then you're forced to really appreciate and extend it. Otherwise, I mean, obviously we create our own families, but that extended family is still so important.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty good at like obviously I have my cousins that I do kick it with consistently or reach out to consistently. But my mom had, like I said, my grandma had 14 kids, man. I got siblings I still don't reach out to, like on my like I got like my dad's kids. Like I'm terrible at reaching out to them. So it's like I don't know. Like I'm not I'm not trying to make it as an excuse. I just like, it's just like more realization that like, I don't know. It's kind of tough. It's really tough because I have my friends that like really rock with me. So like my friends and my cousins, my sister and them, like the people who like really like there every day, it's like easy for me to give them that time. But it is hard for me to like divvy up that time and then like give that to somebody else who I feel like might not. I mean, you got to give it to them to see what they do with it. But it's kind of hard for me to be like, I'm gonna take this time away from my sister. And I'm going to reach out to my cousins, see if they want to kick it, for them to flake on me or for them to not reply to me. I don't know. And I'm not saying it's right. I don't know. I'm more saying that in admiration for my like my mom's generation, our mom's generation, and how they're able to still
keep in touch.
Because my mom is still working like more hours. She worked more than 40 hours a week. Like,
yeah.
So for her to still kick it with her cousins and stuff like that and be able to relate like what the family got going on and what's going on and in person, like for her to do that, man, shout out to her. Cause I don't know how the fuck she do that, honestly.
Because it's integrated in that generation. That's my point. Yeah. Like it's not just like the finances that they can do it, but it's like they have in my opinion, I feel like my older cousins, they have the foundation of the family gathering regularly. They had the convenience of building the relationships with one another at a very young age and doing a lot together. I don't know if your mom had the same privilege, but it sounds like they've had long-lasting relationships that were strong and can continue to be built upon. And I get that you and your cousins worked together, or saw.
Oh, we had the same thing.
Okay, well, my cousins and I, like a lot of our family gatherings, they didn't look the same as my mom's cousins. Like we did have a lot of good family gatherings for Easter and stuff like that, but it was like a certain like around like teenage 8, like from 8 to being in our adolescent years, I wasn't seeing my cousins as nearly as much as I did when I was 8 and younger. So there's like a whole gap of time where there's no relationship being built. There's no like consistency in like spending time together and learning who we are now that we're adults. That's for my family. I get that that's not maybe you, but for me and my family, that's the case. And I don't know. I just feel like it was a different time. Like I think families operate still very similarly, but not all of us are like that, I guess. And I know that everyone knows that, but
I guess I'll just point out, I think I was just trying to prod at the idea of like why we don't do it. Like you said, I get it. You're saying like that older generation have that, like they have that foundation of like being close, but like it's not like we're not aware we're not close with our cousins.
Yeah.
Like we're aware that like, I think about the rise of Friendsgivings.
Yeah.
We're aware that we're closer to our friends and our family.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I think to myself like, I wonder why.
That's why.
Just because we're not close to them.
I feel like we didn't grow up with the same kind of structure, familial structure. Like I feel like, Gen X, boomers, the way that family was oriented, like your family were your friends. But again, I guess I'll just speak for my own self. My friends were my family, as opposed to my family being my friends. My family is just my family. And so friendship and family, I just think looks different now. I don't think that it's quite as normal as it used to be. I'm not saying it doesn't happen or it isn't normal at all. I just don't think it's as normal as it used to be. And I think that's because we have a lot more broken families, especially in the Black community, after the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
Not the crack pandemic, but the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
That really did do a number on just the tightness of our families. So I feel like it's like the 80s and the 90s babies. I think we had some example of family closeness, but I know that my family was affected by that, and I wouldn't say like across a lot of the generations, but I don't know. I know we lost at least one relative in that time to that, And who knows what other secrets are out there, and who knows what other things happened in the family that we don't know. So I just, I also talked to my neighbor about this because he has a more like close-knit family where they do everything together. So I was asking him kind of like, well, what are the positives and drawbacks? And he was saying, like, as a kid, it was great. Like, he has all these great memories of coming together, of doing things together. But as he's gotten older, there's been people move away, which I would argue is the same thing for us. People move away. It's harder to keep in contact, but also drama happens in the family. And as you become an adult, you know, when the family splits up, it's not like we're gonna get together for the sake of the kids. It's like, no, F that auntie, F that cousin, and you can't help but absorb some of that perspective if you don't have a relationship with that relative. So I just think that like that tight knit like family as friends energy, I think, is just shifted over this time. I don't mean to blame it entirely on, you know, crack cocaine. I just think that could be one example of a reason that contributed to families starting to operate differently, where people weren't necessarily as safe to where all family could be a friend. Yeah. You know, and I'm sure there is times beyond that, but just one example. Yeah. Of my interesting educated guess.
So weird. I gotta look into that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Granted, I don't, like I said, I don't know the exact cases of it, but I could think something like you said, the crack epidemic, where I think about, you know, if you had an uncle or a cousin who was on it, and then, you know, they stole or whatever, and then, you know, them people have kids and stuff like that. So it's like, not only am I not messing with Uncle Ray Ray, but I'm also not messing with my cousin Keisha, because that's, you know what I'm saying, and she feel a ways because we don't fuck with Uncle Ray Ray. So she already feel like distance from the family and stuff, like, you know, and like you said, all the other secrets and stuff like that, you know.
And there's social media. Like back then, they didn't have social media to rely on to keep in touch, to keep tabs on family. These days, we can keep in touch with social media. So the incentive to drive, to visit, to gather, you know, really has to come from because you want to spend time together. Not just because that's what families do on Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm an anomaly. Our family is trash at social media. We just try to make a Facebook group, and we're still trash at it.
Well, I don't mean that. I don't mean like engaging via social media, but I just mean like you can be friends with family on social media and call that keeping in touch.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't even like. I don't know any of my cousins. Like, I got my brother's Instagram, but he barely posts. I'm probably the most active social media user, obviously. But like other than that, like my mom don't post. She'll send me a meme here and there. Like my aunt don't got social media. My cousin don't got social media. My other cousin don't got social media. My other cousin don't got social media. Like,
that's probably why y'all are still close.
That's what I said. Like, yeah, I feel like
you don't rely on social media to keep in touch, or
like if I don't ask them, or if I don't keep in touch, I don't know what's going on. Like, the reason I know. And I don't know, like, I think it's cool, but I don't know. Granted, we're pretty close, so it's not like I'm not worried about those specific cousins, but I have way more cousins than the ones that I keep in touch with. And I think it is weird because recently somebody that I haven't seen in a long time came back in touch, and I'm like, you know, they have kids that I grew up with. You know, I always feel weird because I'm trying to reach out, and then you don't get this. You don't know. I'm excited, but then, you know, it might not be received the same way. You being weird. And I think that's also a thing where it's like, how am I weird for being excited to want to, you know what I'm saying, want to see you? I don't know. Like I said, the dynamics is different, and I don't think anybody's wrong. Like you said, why would I be friends with my cousin when I have a friend that understands me way better,
and I put in more time with? Yeah, that's seen me grow up and grown up with me. Yeah. You know, but I love my cousins. My cousins and I did grow up together. I miss them very much. So I hope that we can prioritize making, you know, closer connections. It's not like I would like to keep in touch. I'd like to share with my family more. So some of this I'm not saying is like healthy ways to engage in terms of like how I'm showing up. But, you know, I'm just honest, I guess. Honest reflections.
I just wanted to go through that because I feel like people can relate to, And I kind of want to hear your guys' like point like on that, like how is your family different from your parents? Like what is your family dynamic like? Because I mean, it is something I'm very interested in, especially as a black person, because I feel like going from mass family reunions, like got pictures of like remembering going to mass family reunions, to going to a place where I feel like I barely see my cousins. Mm-hmm. It's so like it's so jarring to me because I'm only 26.
Yeah.
So it means in less than 2 to 3 decades, like there's been a major shift in the family structure, and that's kind of like I'm not. Granted, I will say it might be for the worse, but like it's one of those things where it's like I just want to understand, like, is there something I could do? Is it because, like you said, is it because of social media? I feel like because you're just a message away, I can be a little bit more lenient about reaching out to you. Like, oh, you know, I can just reach out to them anytime I want, or they can reach out to me anytime I want. Versus like you said back then, if you need to go see your cousin who lived in Mississippi, you got to pull up to Mississippi, or they got to pull up to California, or you just don't see each other. Like, there is no like half pregnant on the relationship. Like, I either go visit my cousin in Mississippi once a year and we go do holidays, or we don't visit at all. And I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I do think I always think relationships are cool because it's always cool to see how people
are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious if those who are watching, how their families are different than what we're talking about or similar. But yeah, I don't know. There's probably a lot of contributing factors why things are changing, or how some things have been able to be maintained. But at the end of the day, shout out to my family. Love you.
So on a note of family, you saw a TikTok about conditional and unconditional love.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I kind of want to talk about, because I feel like that obviously fits in with family, like unconditional love, conditional love. I guess the TikTok that I'll let you explain the TikTok that you saw.
Okay, so yeah, there's this TikTok. I think it was like a clip from a podcast. I didn't go beyond the clip. So I
beyond the clip.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole podcast. But
2023, no one watches the whole podcast.
Yeah, I feel sad to say that though. It's like not checking your sources. But anyway, in this clip, this woman was talking about how she doesn't believe women can love unconditionally, but she believes that men can, because she said when men love a woman, they love a woman. It's almost like to infer that when women love a man, she can fall out of love with him. And I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think that men are the only ones that can love unconditionally? Do you believe that statement that she said too? Because when men love a woman, they like go hard.
I don't know if the word's unconditional, but I think, and I say this and take it with a grain of salt. I'm just saying it the way that I'm thinking it right now. Based on what I'm hearing and how I see it, I do feel like there's a little bit more resolve in the love that a man gives. Like I feel like a man loves first, and like they're okay with that love getting a little bit battered and still having that love. But I do feel like, at least my personal relationships, I do feel like it takes a little bit longer to get a woman to love you. And even in that, I do feel like there can be things that I'll be like, like you said, I feel like that love can get beat up to a point where like, nah.
Would you say it's resilience? Like men's love is a bit more resilient? Not stronger, just more resilient.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is that I think men's love isn't, I know this sounds weird to say. I do feel like men's love is based a lot more, I don't know if I'm explaining this right when I say this, it's based a lot more on how they feel about the person. Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes the way it feels is that a woman's love can feel like how some of the things that a person has done to them made them feel.
Yeah, like it's contingent upon how a person makes them feel.
Yeah, like I feel like if I like a person like girlfriend. Like,
It's because you feel that way.
yeah, that feeling, like I have this feeling that I love you, but it's not like there's not many things that you did, or
It's not contingent upon how she makes you feel.
yeah, like we still have arguments, stuff like that, but like the feeling doesn't change. Versus on the flip side, I've come to realize sometimes it's like, yeah, I like you, but like the way you some of the things you have done has made me feel away, and I either can't love you or I fell out of love with you because of some of the things you did.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've heard that reason from women a lot of times, where it's like, you did this, or here's a list of things that you did and didn't correct, and which that dictate.
It leads to the ick.
Yeah. So I do feel like, I guess in that context, if you want to say that's conditional and unconditional, I do feel like a man's love is a little bit more unconditional, where it's like, it's not based on exactly what a woman is doing or not doing. It could be, it is a little bit based a little bit deeper based on the person maybe. And a woman, I'm not saying a woman can't feel that way, but I do feel like even though she can love somebody for who they are, if they feel like it's not working, that's gonna take hold first. Like,
Yeah.
this ain't feeling good, so I'm out of here.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree that a man's love is more resilient, but I would argue that we do get the ick relatively easy as it relates to like men not being able to maintain making us feel safe, making us feel good, making us feel happy. But I also think we live in a very conditional world. I mean, it's like part of self-preservation to an extent to have these conditions like, oh, you only get this love and this belonging if you abide by these kind of like collective virtues. And if you violate these virtues, potentially they can, violate the health of the overall group or potentially the individual. We're talking like, we can use bigger virtues for the example of this, like, back in the day when people would be shunned away because of adultery or, murder or anything, that is a threat to the group. But
I think I will say too, I feel like men are more simple. Like, I don't feel like men want very much from a relationship.
Well,
now they want more stuff with this whole traditional woman shit. But like, I think ultimately what a man really wants is a woman just to really like ride for them and believe in them.
Well, this is the thing. I don't disagree. I don't. The point that I was going to make is that Bell Hooks wrote this book called All About Love. It's a book that it's like on my to read list, but it's on my to read list because she believes that we live in a world where like we really need to learn how to love again, that the world is bereft with lovelessness. And she says the word love is most often defined as a noun, but we would all love it. We would all love better if we used it as a verb. And so, yeah, I know it's a verb, but I don't think we treat it as that. I do think if we're talking about the point of conditions, it's like a noun. It's like, what do you give me? Right. If you give me that, then I give you love. But, it is what we do for one another, not in terms of what we give, but yeah, how we're willing to compromise, how we're willing to accept other people, how we're willing to not judge. And unconditional love comes through these different paths, but it also comes from being like detached to an extent and really allowing a person to exist freely, whether you have love in return or not. Like, and for me, I think the only real unconditional love that exists is from God or else parentally. I do think parental love can be unconditional, but it's not all parents, but I think that there are many parents who do.
I feel like that's the only space that unconditional love makes sense.
And I think that's also because it's like a
up to age 18.
I also think that it's like that too because it's a human variation of like spirit's kind of relationship to us. God is in Christian faiths, God is our father, God is our parent, God is our protector, our provider. And, parents are probably one of the best examples of what this is intended to really be like. So I feel like that makes sense why that particular type of relationship is the only type that we can understand, that I can understand as unconditional. But I think to your point, yeah, people want a lot more out of romance, have a lot more expectations out of friendships. And so when those things are not met, it's a lot more difficult to exchange love, because it feels like an exchange. But I'll tell you the one place it definitely does not exist, and that's in professional settings. Mm-hmm. I don't think that any business,
any love is there.
I don't think any business really loves you, even if they say we're family.
I feel like business is completely transactional.
Yeah.
It's like, it has to be, though. If it's not working, I can't continue to be in this relationship.
You worked with your family, though.
Yeah, but we're family before the business. Versus when you come into, if I went to work, working for my family is different, because even when, it's not working, we understand that there's a love that's like kind of holding us together. Mm-hmm. And like, that means just like a little bit more of like trying to work with that person. But if you know what I'm saying, like if you were a dean at a school and you had a teacher who was a nice person, but she just wasn't, the students weren't excelling in her class, and there's certain things that she's falling short on. It's like, you can be like, oh, I feel for her and keep giving her opportunity, but there has to be, in business has to be a part of like, okay, I'm doing more hurt than I am doing like good, or potentially because the kids in her class aren't getting what they're supposed to get, and
maybe I might take this back. Well, yeah, okay. I don't know. I feel like I've had some bosses that really loved me. Mm-hmm. Like really looked out for me in the way that a parent would, that eventually became not just a boss to me, but a mentor. So I actually don't know if I stand. I don't think I stand on that, actually. I think that their unconditional love exists within like probably the soul of the person.
So I'll say this. If it came down to a situation where it was either their job or your job, how do you think that plays out?
I think it depends on where they're at and their soul. Like, I don't know. If it's between their job and my job, and it's like somebody higher up than me or a friend, I would expect that we can do a friendly competition and be open about it.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like,
you think would they put me on the chopping block? Is that what you're asking? To save their own job? I'll
say like this. If because I explained it to my situation, like my boss Teresa. I think Teresa really liked me. I don't know. I'll even take it. You could probably say Teresa loved me. Like, she still reaches out to me. But I do understand that if I'm not doing my job and that's affecting her job, and it's like either I, like you said, it's either I have to, even though he's a good kid, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. If he can't act right, I gotta get him out of here, or I have to get up out of here. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel like obviously the feeling doesn't change about that person, but it does be like, I have to get you out of here because.
But I don't think it's unloving to have to cut somebody because they're not doing their job. I think that's a loving act. People need the truth. What's unloving is to blindly or blindside somebody and fire them without giving them any warnings, without giving them an opportunity to correct what's going wrong. That's where it's like conditional, and it's just, coming from a place of we're not getting what we need. But if we have an exchange, an even exchange where this is a relationship and you're pouring into me, I'm pouring into this work, and if I'm falling short, I need that honesty. And I feel like somebody that genuinely cares is going to give you that honesty lovingly. And if that means that your job is at risk, then you can have that conversation lovingly, So again, I think it's in the heart and the soul of the individual. I don't think it's determined by the type of relationship, as we've had this conversation.
I guess I just feel like the person on the receiving end won't feel that love.
I think maybe not immediately, but I've had hard conversations with bosses like that, where they had to tell me, listen, actually, I had a conversation with one of my bosses just last semester about my emailing, and I had 2 evaluations, and both the same evaluation, essentially, same criteria. One evaluation, my supervisor was really hard on me, and the other faculty member that supervised me, they were a lot harder on me than this other campus that I was equally under observation with. They gave me such kinder reviews, but they gave me the same honest feedback.
Yeah.
But it was just in completely different forms. One actually threatens basically all of the documentation of like how good I teach, right? This evaluation is a part of that portfolio, that file. And so my ability to advance, my ability to make progress is affected by this. So if you have seen that I'm having these issues, you're going to save it for the evaluation and mark it down on the evaluation, as opposed to let me know, because the thing is, like, I don't think that the problems that they pointed out were bad enough to get the remarks that I had on my evaluation sheet. I'm generally a very accountable person. And ultimately my main problem is keeping up with emails, as I've mentioned. I think we started the podcast with that. So in the one where I did really great, I had a one-off conversation with my chair, and she was just like, I just have to be honest with you. You missing emails the way that you do is holding you back professionally. It's holding you back from opportunities, and it's holding you back from being seen for the high caliber instructor that you are. And that's the feedback I needed. What I didn't appreciate was being ripped a new one in the evaluation without any love behind it. It really felt like it was penalizing because it made her job more difficult that I don't respond to emails, as opposed to I know that it's overwhelming as an adjunct to have 3 different inboxes, potentially 6 because you're at multiple campuses.
Yeah.
It didn't come from that place like the other chair. So, that's what I'm saying. It's at the heart of the individual.
Yeah, and I guess maybe think about what LaRussell said, business isn't personal, but it is.
Business relationships are.
Well, even so people say oh, it's not personal, it's just business. And why I believe there's truth to that, I think he spoke to a point that's very pertinent, is it's, while business isn't personal, the way that you handle business is. So
the relationships.
So it's while me giving this evaluation might not be personal, like you said, the demeanor in which I gave it to you is, because it's personal in the sense of it talks about who I am as a person. Because like you said, if I'm berating you in this review, it's just business, get better at your job. But at the same time, it's that just means as a person, personally, that's just who you are. You berate people when they don't do what you want them to do. And granted, I'm just speaking only from the little bit, I don't know who that person is, but if that's not, I don't, like you said, there's no uplifting in that moment. There's no, how do you pick yourself up when you're just yeah.
Yeah. Here's some tools to help you back up.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
yeah. And I get it. That's why I've never been in a situation like that. I've never had to be evaluated and stuff like that. But I don't know, to the conversation about conditional, I don't know. I do feel like people can love unconditionally, but I do, like I told my girlfriend earlier, I feel like love is unconditional, but I do feel like this is how I feel about God, but this is also how I feel like we should approach relationships personally. We should love unconditionally, but the condition, what should be conditional is is the relationship. Like when you talk about a parent, unconditionally, I'm always gonna love my son even if he's a dopehead or not, whatever. But the condition, the relationship is based on conditions. If you're stealing and stuff like that, no, you can't come over my house.
Yeah, that's a fair. Well, if you're stealing, we shouldn't be friends.
Yeah, I'm talking about family. Like if you're my son, I'm still gonna love you.
It applies even if we're family.
Well, I'm saying like if you're my son, I don't love you less because you have this affliction.
Yeah.
But based on the conditions, no, you can't spend the night at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna allow you to call me after 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot more boundaries.
But boundaries don't mean that the love isn't there and that the love isn't unconditional.
Yeah, I just feel like the relationship, and I feel like it is healthy to have conditions because you know, like I talked to my girlfriend on the phone, like it's also safety because that don't mean you can't come back around. You can come back around when you get when things, you know, when you come correct. I guess you could say, I hate to say it that way, but like when you come correct, you can come back around. You know, you try to clean up whatever. And you're actively trying to change your ways, I can see more grace. But if you're in the hot and heavy of it, and you're just letting it take you, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
And
I like that. I like that statement that relationships are conditional, but the love isn't.
Yeah.
The love doesn't have to be.
Because even like, and I say this with Chess, like, I mean, I still got love for my ex-girlfriends. Like for sure. Like to your point, like, unconditional, like I've been done wrong by some of my ex-girlfriends, or I felt done wrong, but I don't love them any less. I just
love them from a distance.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, like I care about you, but like I'm not trying to engage. So it's like stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I would concede to that point.
Yeah, but I kind of want to go into like the, I guess you could say leadership. Like, I think it is important to be careful about how you use your tongue. You know, when you tell somebody something, 'cause you could say the same thing different ways and get different reactions. Mm-hmm. You know, tell someone their breath stink
versus offering them a slice of gum.
Yeah, or even, you know, like. This is like pull them to the side, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's different. There's the people like, dang, who breath smell like that? Or there's like, hey, we want to walk me over here real quick. And it's like, I didn't want to tell you in front of everybody, but your breath is kicking like karate, bro. Like, you might want to handle that. Oh, thanks, bro. You know, I think I when you talk about like there's a lot less love, I think there is a lot of apathy in that. Whereas like some people just don't give a fuck. Like, and I don't know where it came from, but like there is a lot of people where it's like they just do not care.
Well, yeah, and they don't. I had a student. Did I tell you this story already? Where I had a student that was, he was giving a speech, and I asked my students to give some feedback, and one of them was like, "Okay, I got to be honest. That was the worst speech out of everybody this semester."
Was that a fair assessment?
No, it was not fair. No, but it was his assessment, so it was fair for him to feel. But the fact that he had expressed it was just what took everybody by surprise. And so we were all like,
did he expand?
Did he need to? It was all in that one sentence. And I mean, he did try to elaborate. He was like, I mean, you were just like really nervous and you read from your speech. You read your speech the entire time. Like, that was true.
Yeah, that
was true. But to compare him to everyone else and say it was the worst speech out of everyone in the whole semester, that is just, that's like digging the knife and twisting it. Like, you could have just left it at you read a lot and lost me personally.
I don't know.
I hope in the next one you have more confidence to really engage us in a conversation.
To his point, I feel like what he did brought more attention to what he might be doing, though.
I don't know. I mean, that student came back with his final speech with the best speech of the semester and made us cry.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, it is a very cool success story. So I'm
not gonna say that guy was the reason though, but
no,
I feel like that's partial.
I feel like it definitely, you know, he wanted to give him a big FU. You know, maybe he didn't. Actually, that student was really kind, so I don't even think that was on that student. So I think it was more for himself. Like, I really know that I can do better. And he took that feedback. He actually was not defensive about it. If anything, the rest of the class was more offended than he seemed to be in that moment.
Shout out to him.
So he was very resilient. So
I feel like people, but I do feel like people do need to hear that.
Some people need to hear it, and honestly, like, not everybody's going to say things nicely at the end of the day. I wish that was the case, but not everybody will. And that was the reality of my reviews. Like, I needed that feedback, the feedback where I wasn't marked perfectly, because I'm not perfect. And honestly, it was super humbling, because I saw myself as this, this very, like, I thought I came off as like I'm on top of my shit.
Yeah.
And it was very clear that that's not the case across the board, how my colleagues and supervisors are seeing me.
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's what I said. To that point, because I think about, sorry, I know y'all hate him, KS. Thought about Kevin Samuels today. I was watching one of his old streams when he was going in on niggas, because he was talking about how, like, people want to cheat the game. Like, because he before he used to talk about the cheat code to the game is address how you dress first. Like, if you could change how you dress, because it's hard to change how your body looks relatively quickly. It's hard to gain skills really quickly. It's hard to get these things that might take a little bit more time, but the thing you can do immediately, and as a hack, is change the way that you dress and you carry yourself. You can change that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, in that, the harsh love was in there, because he was like, y'all love to do this. Y'all love to come in here, get this little bit of information, and be in there commenting, showboating, like, oh, you spending some real game, this, that, whatever, trying to be seen. But to me, that's let you know that you're not trying to do the real work. And, like, obviously he does what he does. He's like, you talking about, oh, I'm a teddy bear, women like big men. He said, when you get your sloppy self out the shower and you look at yourself in the mirror and you really ask yourself, does somebody want to sleep with me? Like, stuff like that. Like, even though I think for some people it might be like, like you said, the gas, but I guess from the salesman part of me, I feel like the gas was important, because it means you struck an emotional reaction. Like, now you're touching that more like they say lizard brain. Like, now you're engaged. You're like, what you mean? What you mean by that, my boy? And you're more engaged in what's coming after that, because usually they'll do that, and after that it usually comes with the critique you need to hear. Yeah, and I'm not saying it works for everybody, because some people are a little bit more emotional, and sometimes it comes from like I said, if you're doing okay and somebody comes at you like that, it's like, damn.
I don't know. That sounds like masochism if you're into that, like, it's just like, some people like it hard. Like, some people like it. I think that's masochism. Let me look that up real quick. You know what I'm talking about?
I've heard the word, but I never used it.
Like, some people want it hard. Like, they don't want it nice, but, and to those people, teach their own. But I do think, like, when you think about how your words are going to land on someone else, I think that's important. And if the shock value is what you're going for, as opposed to it really resonating and being heard, I don't feel like that's coming from, like, a very loving place. I feel like that's coming from a very, like, egotistical place, because you're trying to get a rise out of somebody as opposed to really helping somebody.
I mean,
maybe it can be both and,
like
too,
I said,
but
I think it just depends on the person, right? Because, like, I think about, like, my little brother. And this is not the
point. Oh, okay, never mind. It is not a masochist thing. It's not it's not that. Well, in general use, it's a person who enjoys an activity that appears to be painful or tedious. Well, that includes, like, painful words coming at you. So it could apply generally speaking, but
yeah. And, like,
anyway.
I'll say when I was younger, I was a musty kid. Mm-hmm. And I had people, hey, you're musty. Hey, did you put deodorant on? Granted, I was going through puberty. Even with the deodorant on, I just smelled crazy. Mm-hmm. Just hormones is going crazy. The BO smells crazy. Mm-hmm. And people are like, hey, be nice. And, like, I'm gonna be honest. I think it works when it's like, granted, maybe not said this way, but some people, you get the uncle, no, nigga, you need to get in the shower. Mm-hmm. You should be ashamed of yourself smelling like that. It's like, damn.
In 5th grade, I had a friend who also sat in front. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. I just thought about that moment.
Okay. Well, in 5th grade, I had a similar moment, a friend with a similar situation. And I tapped her on her shoulder and gave her some perfume. Nicely. Like, I didn't make fun of her.
I'm not saying making fun of her.
Well, I know, but your uncle, like, giving it to you hard. I just feel like, yeah, everybody's different. Like, I told her it nicely, and I didn't think about, like, if other people were telling her that. You know what I mean? Like,
Did she come back musty?
Yes. She actually seemed upset that I had said anything at all. So
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're not friends anymore, by the way. I just want to be clear.
I mean,
Like,
I hope not.
I hope she's doing very well, and she did outgrow that. But I think it had more to do just. Why are you laughing?
She outgrew that. I hope so. Jesus. Nothing wrong with me. Hey, we all got. We all had a musty friend.
Yeah,
Sometimes we even been the musty friend.
Sometimes, honestly, that's why I was like, this is no shade to you. I just want to help you out because I want what's best for you. But some people be sensitive regardless of how you give it, good or like hard.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's really the bigger thing. Same for me. I needed that information either way, and I have no control over how that information is gonna get to me.
Yeah. I guess the point I was just like I said, I feel like it just depends on the person. Because I especially as
coming back to my point.
What?
It's reliant on the soul of the individual.
Yeah.
The condition of a person's soul. Yeah. That determines whether or not a person is capable of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I just interrupted.
I get what you're saying. That's what I agree. I don't know.
Okay.
Just tell people. I just want to say that. Just tell them. Sometimes I feel like we do beat around the bush too much.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty bad at beating around the bush.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do get fed up. That's what I'm talking about. The patience. That's why I don't think I can be a teacher. Where it's like, trying to beat around the bush. If I keep beating around the bush too long, I get mad. I'm gonna chop the bush down, bro.
No, my students know I don't beat around the bush. I don't do that. They know it. Professor B keeps it real in the class, but I'm gonna say it kindly, and then. After so many times, if you don't get it, I'm going to say it bluntly.
That's the point I'm making. I'm not saying jump out the gate with the blunt.
Yeah.
I'm saying
sometimes people earn it.
Yeah, if I keep saying like, hey, you keep reading the essay. Hey, it was good, but you keep reading the essay. Mm-hmm. The third time was like, listen, it's not a good speech if you read the essay.
Listen, give me the notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
So, anyways. But guys, I think that was another episode of the Special Friends Podcast. Again, I'm your boy Wuzi.
I am Professor B, aka Ali B.
Yeah, and just want to let you guys know I appreciate you. Do me a favor, if you guys haven't already, subscribe, like,
comment.
C-word, comment, notification bell, all that. Follow us on socials. Sorry, I have been slacking on the social media posts.
Yeah,
I just really
people have been missing our clips.
Yeah, I mean, I post them. I just, like I said,
they got to tell us what their favorite moments are, so we know. Also, get some ideas, some inspo.
I just be having them. It's hard to like watch them and then also keep up what's going on.
Timestamp your favorite moment if you care.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah. So whenever it happens.
Yeah. Again, appreciate you guys, and we're out of here.
Yeah. Peace.